In November 2025, the already tense relationship between President Trump and the press reached a dramatic breaking point, capturing the attention of the nation and the world. The week was marked by a series of confrontations that would soon dominate headlines and social media feeds alike. Over the course of just 7 days, President Trump publicly hurled personal insults at two prominent female journalists during high-profile moments, shocking many observers and sparking outrage among journalists, politicians, and citizens. These incidents ignited a national debate about professionalism, respect, and the essential role of a free press in a democracy. News anchors dissected every word, while families and friends argued over dinner tables and online forums about the boundaries of presidential conduct. The first confrontation unfolded aboard Air Force One, where a reporter's pointed question about an ongoing legal matter was met not with an answer, but with a demeaning retort from the president. The exchange left the press corps stunned and set the tone for what was to come. Just days later, in the storied Oval Office, another journalist's straightforward question was condemned as inappropriate by the president, further escalating tensions and drawing sharp criticism from media organizations and advocacy groups. The fallout was immediate and widespread. The phrase, "Quiet, Piggy," uttered by the president, quickly trended online, becoming a symbol of disregard for press decorum and fueling protests and heated discussions across the country. This story delves into what happened during that extraordinary week, why these moments matter, and what they reveal about the ever-evolving relationship between power and the press in America's democracy. On November 18, 2025, President Trump welcomed Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the Oval Office, a meeting that drew the eyes of the world. The room, filled with dignitaries and advisors, buzzed with anticipation as two powerful leaders sat side by side, their every word and gesture scrutinized by the press and public alike. During the press conference, ABC's Mary Bruce raised a question that had been echoing across the globe. She asked the Crown Prince about the 2018 murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, a case that had sparked international outrage, ignited debates about human rights, and led to widespread calls for justice and accountability. But before the Crown Prince could respond, President Trump abruptly interrupted. He turned to Bruce and said, "You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that." His words hung in the air, redirecting the moment and shielding the Crown Prince from scrutiny. Trump went further, calling her question horrible and insubordinate. In that instant, the focus shifted away from the Crown Prince's alleged involvement in Khashoggi's murder, and instead, the journalist's right to seek answers was put on trial. The president didn't stop there. He cast doubt on Khashoggi's character, questioning the motives behind the journalist's reporting, and insulted ABC, dismissing it as a crappy company. The tone in the room grew tense as the leader of the free world openly disparaged both the press and the pursuit of truth. Observers and journalists alike were stunned by the president's public admonishment. Many saw it as a moment when the president chose to defend a foreign leader accused of grave human rights abuses, while simultaneously attacking a member of the American press for doing her job. The exchange quickly became a flashpoint in the ongoing struggle over press freedom. Headlines around the world highlighted the hostility toward journalists, and protests erupted, with many demanding respect for the essential role of a free press in democracy. In that moment, the Oval Office, long a symbol of American democracy and transparency, became the stage for silencing accountability. The world took notice, and the debate over the balance between diplomacy, truth, and the freedom of the press only intensified. To understand the controversy, we must remember who Jamal Khashoggi was. Khashoggi, a Washington Post columnist and Saudi critic, was murdered in 2018 inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Investigations pointed to Saudi agents and implicated the Crown Prince. The murder shocked the world, symbolizing a brutal attack on press freedom. When Bruce raised Khashoggi's case, she echoed a global demand for justice. Trump's scolding was seen as prioritizing diplomacy over human rights and press freedom. 3 days before the Oval Office incident, another confrontation unfolded on Air Force One. Bloomberg's Catherine Lucy asked Trump why he left the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files to Congress instead of acting himself. Before she could finish, Trump interrupted. "Quiet, quiet, Piggy!" The insult was brief but jarring, instantly silencing Lucy and dismissing her question. The moment, captured on video, spread rapidly online. The use of Piggy echoed past insults Trump had used against women who challenged him. It was a stark example of using personal attacks to shut down uncomfortable questions. The Epstein files were a political powder keg. Jeffrey Epstein, accused of sex trafficking, had ties to powerful figures, including Trump. Epstein's death in 2019 fueled demands for transparency and justice. The files included flight logs and records potentially implicating influential people. Trump's sudden reversal to support their release, after years of resistance, raised questions about his motives. Lucy's question cut to the heart of the matter. Why not act directly if he truly supported transparency? The president's reaction revealed the sensitivity of the issue. The context made Lucy's question not just fair, but necessary. The quiet Piggy remark exploded on social media, instantly igniting a firestorm of outrage and debate across the country. Within minutes, hashtags related to the incident were trending, and millions of users began sharing their reactions, memes, and calls for accountability. The phrase quickly became a symbol of disrespect, sparking conversations not just about the specific exchange, but about the broader treatment of women in positions of authority and the tone of political discourse in America. Critics from all sides called the remark misogynistic and unpresidential, describing it as a blatant attempt to humiliate a female reporter in front of a national audience. Many saw it as part of a troubling pattern of dismissive and hostile behavior toward women in the media, fueling anger and frustration among viewers and advocacy groups alike. Journalism organizations swiftly condemned the behavior, warning that such public attacks on reporters contribute to a dangerous trend of vilifying the press. Statements from press freedom groups emphasized the importance of respectful dialogue and the need to protect journalists from intimidation, especially in a climate where trust in the media is already under strain. Even some conservative commentators and political allies, who often defend the administration, criticized the personal attack as damaging to the quality of political discourse. They argued that such remarks distract from substantive issues and deepen divisions, making it harder for the public to engage in meaningful debate. The incident with Mary Bruce just days later only amplified the backlash, as many observers began to see a clear pattern of hostility toward women journalists. The repeated targeting of female reporters was widely interpreted as an attempt to undermine their credibility and silence critical voices. Advocacy groups and public figures demanded a formal apology, organizing rallies and press conferences to call attention to the issue. Despite mounting pressure, the White House remained silent, refusing to address the controversy or acknowledge the growing public concern. International media outlets picked up the story, reporting the incidents as further evidence of declining American norms and the erosion of democratic values. Headlines around the world questioned the state of press freedom and the treatment of journalists in the United States. For many, these remarks were not just personal insults to two women, but direct attacks on the principle of a free and independent press, a cornerstone of democracy that must be protected. The world was watching and reacting as the controversy continued to unfold, and the conversation about respect, accountability, and press freedom grew louder than ever. For Trump, personal attacks on journalists, especially women, were nothing new. He often responded to tough questions with insults, deflecting from substance and intimidating the press. Female reporters have faced the brunt, with Trump belittling their intelligence and professionalism. The Piggy insult echoed his past attacks, like calling Alicia Machado Miss Piggy. Critics warn this pattern erodes democracy, delegitimizes the press, and discourages women from asking tough questions. By branding news organizations as fake news and reporters as enemies, Trump undermined public trust. The targeting of women added a layer of misogyny to his strategy. The events of that week underscored the need for respectful discourse from leaders. The president's words set the tone for the nation. Insults normalize hostility and stifle debate. Democracy thrives on tough questions and accountability, but these must be met with professionalism, not personal attacks. Journalists are watchdogs, not adversaries. Attacking them undermines democracy and chills necessary scrutiny. A society that abandons civility for insults risks losing its ability to solve problems and hold leaders accountable. The incidents with Bruce and Lucy were more than personal affronts. They were warnings about the health of public discourse. Respect is not weakness. It's the foundation of democracy. The controversy over Trump's remarks highlights journalism's essential role in democracy. Journalists like Bruce and Lucy ask tough questions not for popularity, but to hold power accountable. Their courage in the face of intimidation is a public service. The insults they endured were attacks on the principle of a free press. Public support for these journalists shows many still value the press's watchdog role. Without a critical press, democracy falters. Tough questions are the engine of accountability, no matter how uncomfortable for those in power. The mission remains: ask the questions, report the facts, and bring truth to light.